What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars. In about 4 to 5 weeks or so, Rambo Last Blood is set to be released on digital on December 3rd, I think. And because I'd never seen any of the Rambo films before, yeah, I know, I thought it prudent to go ahead and start yet another marathon on my channel to prepare for my experience with the 2019 film. This, of course, is a classic action film starring a classic action hero about a classic action character, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how I've gone on my entire life without ever having seen it. Then again, the first movie was released 6 years before I was born, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. Weirdly enough, Rambo First Blood is nothing like I thought it would be. I thought it would essentially be about one man in a forest-like landscape during a war backdrop against a number of infidels that seem impossible to beat. Something about the poster just pointed me in that direction, like with Commando or Predator or Platoon or something to that degree. But I was so off that it hurts to think about, because instead this is a plain and simple about a war veteran, specifically a Green Beret who has PTSD, and after a run-in with some cops that don't actually know his history, he crosses a line with them, creating an all-out war between the two, and because both parties have an extreme amount of pride and stubbornness, neither of them are willing to put up a white flag and just surrender, just give up, which makes things worse and worse for everybody because it just escalates. So this is an extremely interesting film, right? Because regardless on what I expected and regardless on the direction that it took, we all know that it was popular enough to gain traction and keep breathing life into it for over 30 years, which is insanely impressive no matter if you like it or you don't. I will tell you what I absolutely love about this movie, that in a way it's kind of relevant to a modern audience when it comes down to its message. At least the message that I received when I watched it. To be honest, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the very beginning in this film that I found very impressive. There are tones of police brutality, messages on how we don't treat veterans with the respect that they deserve, of the dangers of making decisions based upon pride alone, and how PTSD can affect veterans in a very, very bad way. Out of all those messages, I'd say the weakest was probably the PTSD one, because I never really bought that Stallone had it, and that if he had it and cracked, that he'd just keep cracking for an entire day, making things worse, or however long this movie takes place. I just don't get it, because I feel like he'd realize he went a little bit too far and just stop eventually. Thankfully, you don't have to think about it too much, because there is the issue with pride and self-protection. He continues what he's doing out of self-preservation and what he's been taught to do as a Green Beret. The cops, on the other hand, when they learn that he is a Green Beret, they just keep gunning for him. It does have a lot going for it, though, when it comes down to those themes and those messages. That being said, there's a big fat elephant in the room for me, and it all comes down to how the movie starts. Basically, you have Sylvester Stallone's character walking through a small town. The sheriff notices him walking, takes him as a vagrant, and drives him way out of town. And when Stallone turns around and starts heading back towards town, that's when the sheriff arrests him and our story begins. Here's where I take issue. The sheriff says something along the lines about people not taking so kindly to the flag that you can see on his jacket. My question is, why? The police are wearing the same exact flag. Wouldn't you at least think he may be a veteran? Why do you automatically assume that he's a vagrant? Because he's walking down a town? Because he's got long hair? I don't get it. So I have an issue with how it begun, because I don't feel like anything would have ever happened in a more realistic encounter. So everything in this movie, and I really do mean everything, hinges on that first encounter with the sheriff, which is a scene that I don't buy. I don't know. As far as what I expected out of the movie, I expected amazing action, and it has its moments here and there, for sure, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing that really blew my mind or that I find very memorable as a whole, and I'm particularly confused as to how this is a franchise with 5 movies attached. It tells a complete story from beginning to end, and it doesn't need anything more than that. Then again, that's how most franchises do work these days, so I'm not that surprised. What did I score this film? I rated First Blood 66%. 66 out of 100 possible stars, grading at the letter grade of D. I am hoping further down the line that this character of Rambo is fleshed out more and becomes something much more iconic in the long term. What do you guys think about Rambo? Are you a fan of the first film, or do you prefer some later variations? Let me know in the comments down below. And as for YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you like this review and would like to see some more like it. Hit the little bell icon, because that helps notify you when I do come out with those reviews. And oh yeah, thumbs up. That always helps out my channel. So anyways, until next time, peace out!